Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back into the Coyotes Curling Club. Glad to have you along with us again for this, the second day of the inaugural Men's Ed Werenich Golden Wrench Classic. We are coming to you live, as I said, from Tempe, Arizona. My name is Corey Brown. Be with you all day again today. We appreciate you joining us on our YouTube channel, of course, and also those of you watching on the 12th End Sports Network. We appreciate their help in bringing this action to you, and are happy to be helping out with them. You can keep your eyes on Curling Zone for score updates. We'll keep you advised of what's going on the sheets as well. But team info, draw info, and all the like right there on Curling Zone and our website at coyotescurling.com. Starting today on sheet C, our featured matchup is going to be between Brady Clark, coming to us out of Seattle, Washington. Looks like he'll start with the hammer this morning, and Shinya Abe, who comes to us from Sapporo, Japan. So first rock from the Team Abe lead is into the front of the rings. You see Brady Clark taking a look at it. He's going to hit it. So Clark lead Phil Tilker out with his first shot. Looks like they're not going to mess around too much early, so going to go for the takeout here. And there's the hit, gets the yellow out and leaves the red one in the top of the 12. And you see Shinya Abe running right over to the new red rock in there and calling for his lead, Hiroshi Sato, to bring a yellow rock down there and take that red out. Sato, of course, the lead for Team Abe here. You'll notice when Shinya is throwing his rocks, fourth stones, Sato actually will be managing the house, as that one just slides past and does miss on that takeout attempt. But Sato is a former Olympian for Japan, did play in the Nagano Games, I believe in 1998. So second rock from Tilker is a guard just shy of the rings on the corner. And you see Abe's going to call for a hit on that. This is his second. Yuki Hayashi. And looks like he's trying to get rid of both of those red rocks. And we'll touch them both, but leaves the red stone right on the top of the forefoot, uncovered, and should be moving here shortly, but we'll see what Clark decides to do. With the hammer in this first end, he's going to call for something a little wider in the rings. Go to the other side of the house and split things a little bit, looking for just a T-line draw on the left side of the sheet. And this will be from his second, the first effort for Colin Huffman in this end. So a nice draw there, pretty flat and pretty far apart from the other red rock. So it gets to the side of the sheet. You see Shinya Abe out calling for the hit on the rock that was just thrown. Try to roll into the button, get a little closer to that red shot rock. So you see the good hit there, and the rock does roll over to the 4-foot. So pretty clean end so far. Interesting start to the game. We haven't seen a lot of hitting the first rock into the rings, but here early in the morning, everybody just getting loose and learning the ice again. So far, pretty clean. Nothing out front. And we are pleased now to welcome to the broadcast with us Mike Siggins.
Morning.
Joining us for the first time here in the Classic. Happy to have him. I know you guys have told us out there it's a little more interesting when you're not listening to just me. Hurt my feelings a bit, but we'll see if we can keep people in here throughout the day. So, welcome, Mike.
I appreciate it, buddy. So we got the Clark-Abe game going.
Yep, so far, like I said, I was saying pretty clean.
So I had the pleasure of finishing in second place to both of these teams yesterday, and I heard you say they're keeping it clean. I can tell you this Abe team, they like to hit and they're real good at it.
Yeah, we saw the tail end of their first game yesterday, and some really impressive hits and run backs, particularly from their third, Yuta Matsumura, who just threw that last hit there.
Oh yeah, he didn't miss a single one against us. Yeah, he's a great thrower. So interesting thing about them, their lead was actually the skip in the Nagano Olympics. And he's kind of become the coach and manager of this team now, but still throws lead rocks. And nice guys, they've been around all week, here since Monday, practicing a lot, talking to everybody, giving out pins to everybody, so it's cool to have a Sapporo Japan pin.
Yeah, hung out with us all week, like Mike was saying. They've been here a lot and been happy to hang out and play and practice with club members too. So always looking for some time on the ice, some people to play, and it's been great.
Yeah, you got a chance to play a few ends against them.
Yeah,
right?
We played a little 4-end scrimmage with them the other night after the night with Team Canada. They hung out for that. I know they know each other from the Kurosawa International earlier this year, late last year.
Looks like we're cruising for a blank end here.
Yeah, we had an early split of the house for Team Clark, but then lost the one on the side and weren't able to get a second one in. So once Matsumura cleaned out that one, we kind of shifted gears to a blank here.
This one's short, throwing up a guard. I would imagine them just rip this out. So Brady Clark, fresh off the A bracket route to Jacksonville for U.S. Nationals. Saw them up in Madison a couple weeks ago. They seem to be firing on all cylinders, playing real well.
Among the coolest sponsors on their jackets, for sure. Got Cold Stone Creamery on there, local Arizona company.
Oh yeah, we got to hit them up. They're sponsoring the Seattle teams, but nothing for the local guys here.
We got to talk to the governor.
I guess so.
So as you said, Mike, just going to rip that guard out, not playing around this end. No reason to leave anything around right now.
Yep. And thanks all you for getting up and joining us this morning, and thanks to the athletes for, they say you're supposed to be up 2 hours before you start playing, so that's 5 a.m. And that comes a little early, especially if you're got a 5:15 draw yesterday, and maybe you stick around and have a beer later. So it all comes off early. Oh, dark 30 they call it. But it's part of curling. If you ever curled before, you've had a 7 a.m. draw.
As long as there are no windows in the rink, that's when it gets different. Curling early in the morning with windows on the side of the rink, like we did up in Idaho, that was a little jarring.
Yeah, watch the sun come up.
Yeah.
As you're in the fifth end.
So a little heavy there, and Clark's first rock's going to slide right through.
I wonder if you can corner freeze this yellow here. I'm going to try that. Yeah, maybe just touching. Just try to make Brady's shot a little bit more difficult here for his last one. to blanket, or either just, if you make it perfect, maybe you force, but I don't think so. I think Breeder just blast. He can throw those big weight hits with the best of them.
So around the sheet this morning, as we look for that freeze, as Mike mentioned, we do have for you over on sheet A. You see Todd Birr is taking on a local Coyote team led by Carol Huntress.
And Todd played two interesting games yesterday. He walked off Pete Fenson in 3 ends, 8-0, and then he got walked off by Charlie Thomas in 3 ends, 8-0.
Yeah, we are familiar with those. Actually, featured games on both sheets, and Team Abe was the beneficiary of that. We got to watch them play a good deal after those games because we were started with those and we're done in 7 ends total. So
Yeah, so they haven't.
interesting day.
So they
Fresh
should be
legs.
fresh.
Yeah,
Exactly.
fresh legs. On sheet B, you see there Richard Muntain and Daryl Sobring. And sheet C here, we're watching. We should see the blank end here in just a moment. And over on sheet D, we have.
Doug Brewer and Greg Gallagher.
That's right. Gallagher, again, another local Coyotes team.
Have you told the story about Doug Brewer's team yet and the subs?
I haven't didn't know that well.
So I got a call from Doug on Monday, and he says, "Well, I got," because Doug usually holds the broom and throws lead rocks. He's been on the World Curling Tour circuit forever. Great guy, had a lot of success over the years, and still plays at a very high level. But his third and his fourth are cops in a small town. Probably 2 of 3 cops in the whole town. That one of those small towns. And I get a call on Monday, and he says there was a murder in their town, and the guys didn't make the flight, and they're not coming. He said, "But I'm coming. I'm not going to miss this for the world. Plus, my flights are non-refundable, so I'll be there. I need a couple of players." So I want to thank Matt Rudig from Flagstaff and our own Fred Maxey for subbing in for them. And they certainly could have got worse subs. Those guys can throw a pretty mean rock. Fred's played in the Briar. Matt's a hell of a player. He threw fourth rocks for Jerry Gertz here in our summer spiel. So we appreciate them helping out, and probably not as much as Doug does. But they played a couple of pretty close games, a couple tough losses, but this should be a pretty good one against Gallagher.
So you see there, Brady Clark with his blank attempt did just not got a little too much of that rock and did stick around right there on the button. So has to take one in the first, and you'll see the first stone coming down, red stone for Brady Clark.
Interesting, they're going in again here. Well, this is sometimes a strategy, and is Japan going to hit it or corner guard? Looks like they're going to hit it. This is always a decision if you want to generate some offense or not. Generally hitting it here leads to about 14 more hits after that and a blank end. A lot of teams might throw up a corner guard here and just ignore that one in the house, and Brady would just throw a guard up there. So there's a nice nose hit, and I bet you'll see another nose hit here. So as we exchange hits here, Abe's going to attempt to, as it gets later in the end, roll his shooter towards the side of the rings to make Brady's shot a little bit more difficult as far as off that center line. And Brady's going to try and roll in the middle, so it's going to be more difficult for Abe to get his throwing stone out. Ooh. So a rare miss there, and you can see right there why those putting those rocks in the wings there makes it a little bit more difficult. So Brady will split the house here. This one looks a little heavy. Should stick around though. Now the double is there. It's pretty long though. And I want to apologize about the score streamer problems we're having here. You can't see the board up there. Corey's working hard at it right now. There's one. So at least they rolled towards the center, and Brady will try and hit and roll away to again make that double tough. So Japan's eventually going to have to make a double here or root for a miss in order to not get forced. Force being essentially drawing for one when you have the hammer. Yeah, nice shot there. So because they're taking that turn, I don't think they're trying the double here. They're trying just to kind of roll towards the center and hope they get something down the road that's a little bit easier to double out. So here's the roll. With that turn, you get a flatter roll off the hit, but it's also got a lot less energy. If you would have thrown the other turn, it would have rolled a little bit steeper, but with a lot more energy, it might have had enough to get that red out. But they would have had to hit it thicker, though. But accomplished what they wanted to, trying to roll those stones close together so they have an opportunity for a double here. And looks like they do have the opportunity for the double here, not without rolling out. Because that shot rock is behind the tee line, if they want to be really aggressive, they could freeze to it. That might be something that you do if you were down big. They're only down 1-0. It's only the second end. No reason to get silly with it. Looks like they're not throwing the double. They'd take the other turn if that was the case. One thing they can do is if they hit and just roll over about a foot, it makes it harder for Brady's team to chip it out because they have that red right there behind it. And it could potentially jam. They're just looking for an opportunity to create 2 points here at a nothing. So we're going to see Brady hit this again. Well done. And bear with us while that top left screen's flashing around. Corey's trying to figure out the errors we're having with Score Streamer. Looks like Japan is maybe a slight tap or a freeze here. Just a, I guess they're not too worried about those stones being in the back of the house. Not really much of a threat of a steal. Brady's going to hit this one. Well, based on where Mr. Persinger has his broom here, I think this is going to be a heater. They don't really care what happens to the shooter line too already. They just want to make sure they remove that yellow. Alright, folks, just trying to have a little breakfast here. Sorry for the lack of commentary. Looks like we're getting down to skip stones here. Oh, they're going to play the freeze. That's aggressive. Looks like it's going to over curl a little bit. And a little tap. Oh, a little heavy, maybe that's what we're looking for. By keeping those reds in the back there, really just hoping that they can get a little bit of a miss here and that yellow will jam on those reds and create an opportunity for two. When you play an end like this without any guards, that's really all you're doing is trying to, just find a way to create yourself an opportunity for two while still leaving that 4-foot area open for a draw, worst case scenario. And teams of this caliber, they don't miss those. So Brady doesn't really care what happens to his shooter here, just as long as he gets that yellow out without jamming on those reds. I expect, based on where that broom is placed, this will have a little bit of weight to it as well, because he wants to hit the side of the stone that is on Mr. Persinger's broom there. If he hits the inside, it's going to jam on those reds. Scooping it for line. Well, there you go. That's why you do that. Although I don't know, it looks like red is shot, but tough to tell from here. They're having a few looks at it. I think yellow is third shot, but very close to creating an opportunity for themselves they wouldn't have had otherwise. So opting just for the hit here, all they gotta do is just tap it back and stick around, and they'll get their one and tie the game up. And coming down here, right on the beak, and it's probably going to be one yellow. Might have a measurement here. Yeah, looks like they are going to measure that one. Those are pretty close, but my eye tells me that red is shot 2 and shot 3. A very wise person once told me if you have to look twice, just measure.
So as they decide here with the measuring stick, just another apology. Bit of a snafu there with the scoreboard. Should be back up and ready to go for you now. So my apologies for that, and we will get you some scores from those other sheets just as soon as we can as well. Everything seems to be up and going now. It's early morning for the computer as well, it seems. So it looks like one yellow there. We'll turn around and watch them put it on the board as well. So if
Yeah, they didn't measure the
we
third
hear
one, so I
differently.
imagine that first red one was closer than the yellow. Well, if they're anything like me, it'll probably take them about 7 rocks to get the score up. So I might not find out right away.
Yeah, I mean that's been great all day yesterday too. We've been very appreciative of how slowly some of these thirds have hung the scores, so that we.
But usually I just wait until my front end gets frustrated and does it for me. We don't score often, but when we do, they want to get it up there. Into the house again. This is interesting.
This is something we saw a lot of yesterday, actually. The rock into the house. I know
Hmm.
a couple teams in particular started with the rock on the top of the 4 foot instead of the center guard. Daryl and I talked about it a little bit last night, and even Eric and I talked about it a little bit yesterday when he was in here too. But Jim Cotter in particular, in the first draw yesterday, every time he was without the hammer, the first rock call was on the top of the 4 foot.
Interesting.
So he tried to go top of the 4 foot and then that 3 zone guard
Guarding
and
from
then
the
a
guard.
high guard every single time. So it was pretty interesting to
Well, I
watch.
guess if you can try it once, and if you can get your opponent to do what you want to do, then keep doing it. Obviously, Brady's got a game plan here where he thinks, well, he obviously likes the fact that Japan is going
Yeah.
after his rock in the house and not throwing guards. So he's going to keep rolling with it. A lot of times you'll see that. I wasn't that surprised to see in the first game as the teams
Yeah.
try to figure out the ice. But obviously Brady's happy with what they're doing, so he's just going to keep doing it.
And like you said, yeah, it depends too on how the other team reacts. So this is going to be a really clean end. They go and hit. In those instances yesterday, people stuck to the corner guard, regardless of where that first rock went. So this is the first time we've seen, at least on the feature broadcast, um, this sort of game plan where rock in the rings and happy to just hit and play clean. Fun for the leads. We don't get to do this a lot.
Get your practice though.
Yep.
One of these days when you're skipping in this tournament, maybe next year, you have to throw those big weight shots. It all starts here, buddy.
So that one ends up short, and it looks like Brady's going to call for. Oh, he's going
He's
to
going
hit
to
that
feel
one
it.
too.
Yeah, he could come
Looked
around
like,
it here.
I think he was leaning toward a quarter guard, but as he walks back, changes his mind.
Without the hammer, though. Oh, he does have hammer.
Yeah, he has it now. We just get to update that. Going to have new scores for you up on Curling Zone, and we'll have those for you in just a moment as well.
Yeah, it's going to roll in. Nice shot.
So a good peel of that A Brock, and they're happy to keep up the game here. And so that one will quietly go away. And continuing now with the third, Greg Persinger, he's going to have his turn to remove a yellow stone. And so a miss there from the Abe team gives Clark a bit of an opening here. Now with a corner guard and an opportunity to put something in the rings behind it.
Interesting that they're going around it that way. I think they might come center line out. But I actually saw Brady doing that a couple times yesterday. This one's going to stay a little straight here. So maybe they found a funny spot in the ice there where they weren't comfortable doing that. And we got some score updates here. Carol Huntress on the board. They had a couple of tough games yesterday. Let's hope they can bounce back.
On the board in the first end, you see there. So you mentioned using that out turn to try to come around that corner guard. Didn't get all the way in, and you see that rock quickly dispatched by the Japanese team.
They're going to do it again here. But I guess they probably have a beat on the line, though.
Yep.
A little bit less broom here. Weight was pretty nice. Yeah, you never know what the weight's going to be like when you get out to the wings there. Pass aren't swept, aren't thrown on nearly as frequently as down the center line. So it sometimes can be a little slower. Probably see Colin Huffman finish this one with the hair broom there, trying to make a curl. And Japan's just going to hit this one again. Probably try to hit and roll just a touch behind that guard. Well done. Brady should be able to see most, if not all, of that, though. And based on this ice, probably a soft weight hit here for Brady. And he'll try to do the same thing. Just roll right in behind that red corner guard. Oh, it's his last one.
So yeah,
Oh, so he's just going to roll out then.
yeah.
Yeah, so probably, I thought it was his first one. Yeah, so probably another blank end here. Or actually, our first blank end. We got force on the first.
Another attempt at a blank here. So hopefully can roll this one out. Like Mike was saying in the first, stuck around. So try to get this one a little more thin.
Really clean game. Something like watching those games in the 70s without the four guard rule.
Well, yeah, start at the top of the rings each time. You'll get a lot of those, I think, right?
That one's going to stick around,
So
too.
you see the red one sticks there again. So another...
Well, it was actually... it seemed like based on their... Oh, no, we got more rocks. Yeah, never mind. Incorrect again.
There you go. The first counting error of the day. We'll have another one for you probably the next end. If it's anything like Eric and me yesterday.
Oh, hammer errors are way more fun. Because the strategy for the last 10 minutes just goes out the door.
Yeah. So he did want to stick around. He just wanted the other roll, like you were mentioning before. We thought that was the last rock. Would have liked to roll undercover. So Japan will remove this one and try to get into the middle a little bit behind that guard to prevent the blank, or even give themselves a chance to steal.
Yeah, Brady have to draw a 4-foot if they can make this.
That's going to leave. So
yeah, I think you'll see Brady just throw this through here. Ed Werenich the other night was talking about, they play these 12-end games back in the day before Rock Room because there was so much corn and crap on the ice you couldn't draw. You didn't know what was going to happen. So they played, you'd win the coin toss and get the hammer and you'd win 1-0 in 12 ends. That's just craziness.
Be a tough game to watch, I think.
I think so
with
too.
Any consistency, it'd be.
Yeah, throw them through. So they will retain the hammer into the fourth end. And for those of you who don't know, Eddie's being a good sport. He was around for about 7 or 8 hours yesterday watching all the matches, and players are all very, very excited that he's here. And he had a chance to meet a whole bunch of them, take a bunch of pictures with their golden wrench. And the smile has not left his face since he got here. So good to have Ed be a part of this.
So based on where Shinya Abe is standing as this rock comes in, looks like we're going to have our first center guard of the day.
There we go. And based on the way this game's been called, I would be very surprised to see Brady throw up a corner here. He's probably just going to come in. And this is always the conversation that you'll hear a lot of people disagree about is do you come in here or do you throw that corner guard? A lot of it depends on your own team's ability, your opponent's. If your opponent can make runbacks like nobody's business, then you probably want to throw up a corner guard. But if they struggle at that, maybe you can come around.
So given this opponent, maybe corner guard's the move, but
Yeah, well,
he's up with a little tick of the center, and gonna get one corner out of the yellow, and gets the red rock on the rings.
now he very well could have called that shot.
Yeah.
Looked like he tapped his broom in the house, but it could just be tapping his broom. That's actually, if you can pull that shot off with any consistency, you can turn that center line guard into two corner guards, and with the hammer, that's a
Yeah.
huge weapon.
Especially like you mentioned, a team that can hit really well, and we know this Abe team can, from what we've seen the last couple days. So would have been really big, yeah, to just split that red one into two corners.
I wouldn't be surprised
Or
if
split
Brady
that yellow
ignores
one.
that one. Yep, there he goes. There's the corner guard. So he knows that's probably not going to count. Oh, now he's going to hit it. Looks like a little conversation with the rest of the team there.
Well, as we talked about yesterday, as most of you know out there, and the best way to generate offense and a good amount of offense in any end is to put up that corner guard. But in a game like this, where Abe has shown a tendency to want to play it clean as well.
Well, and Brady has
not
too.
get too, yeah,
Brady's
so-
been kind of leading the, dictating the clean game here.
So if we're keeping rocks off the rings, there's
So someone's going to try and roll under that yellow that's over there on the other side. It might take a couple shots to get there, but someone's going to try and get a little bit closer to that just so they make that shot a little bit more difficult.
so as Mike mentioned, they're trying to roll under that corner guard and rolls through it and through the rings off that. So the red rock is removed, and you see Brady wants to go ahead and draw behind the corner guard. Or no, throw a corner of his own. So again, interesting turn call, as you mentioned in the last end, trying to come around the outside of a corner guard. This time he's looking for a corner guard on that side of the sheet with an out turn rather than going into out. So likes that turn over there.
Well, obviously he's got a pretty good idea what the ice is doing.
Yeah.
Probably a little close to center, but not bad. And Japan's probably going to rip this. Or they could come behind it. This is an aggressive call here. They are going to come behind it. You see them switching brooms. Those are actually club brooms here. Their broom bag never made it over from Japan. It's stuck God knows where. On the bottom of some jet. So a few club members nice enough to lend their brooms for the weekend. This looks pretty good. I got to finish it pretty good though. To bury it. That's sticking out. Brady should be able to hit that. And he actually might be able to roll into that corner yellow.
Pretty open, and there you go. Yeah, that's going to be the call.
And that's the problem with that aggressive call is if you don't make it perfectly, all of a sudden Brady makes a shot to roll under there, and he's setting up a deuce. You're going to end up making a really good freeze.
So a little bit of a lighter hit here for them trying to keep that shooter rock in play.
And they beaked it. Another soft weight hit here. Oh, could they get the roll here? Just a little bit too far. And that's just touching the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stays
Brady's
on,
probably
but
gonna.
pretty open. So
Here's the decision you make though. You have the guards. They've been calling a really clean game so far. If you hit the yellow, you're obviously going for the blank again, or a or a traditional deuce where you split the house and hoping for a miss. You could just ignore that and go behind your red guard, because if you can make a good shot there, then all of a sudden, deuce is looking pretty likely. But they're gonna have to hit it. Did they hit it or did they throw a draw? They're hitting
no,
it.
yeah, he called a hit, about
Yeah.
a board weight hit, and looking for a little roll. Won't get that, but
Well, again, we have the wings there.
yeah.
These are tougher. So if they can get a miss here, they could set that deuce back up. We're getting a little late in the end though.
So
But
another looks like a normal weight hit based on the way given his indication.
someone's going to make a really good roll here. And I think whoever does, it's either going to be a force or maybe 2 for Clark.
So here, I think this is Matsumura's second, and another nose hit there for Japan.
And I see another hit here, an attempt at a roll. They throw the same shot a bunch of times. These guys are going to figure out the perfect ice to throw to get that perfect roll. And
you can see that one pretty tight to the guard, so knew we'd get a little bit of roll, and almost gets all the way under the red guard, but still pretty open.
yeah, even if it did though, it's behind the T line.
Yeah.
So we could freeze to it. Now Japan has to say, do we just want to hit this and roll out, or do we want to try and freeze to it and generate some offense?
Looks like the ice call for a hit there.
Yep. Based on the way that they've called this game
Yeah.
thus far, not surprising at all.
Well, and like you said, being the only rock in the rings here, get a roll out, and Brady can't hurt you too much if you get rid of it.
I think they'd like to stick around here just to force Brady to do something with it.
Yeah.
Because if they roll out here, he's just going to draw behind that red, and if he makes that real nice, then all of a sudden you got to throw a run back or a freeze. It's just a much more difficult shot. If you make him go after your yellow rockets in the house, he's going to be behind the tee line even if he gets the perfect roll. So real important they stick around here. Sleeping hard for curl.
There you go. Going to be
Yep, and they stuck around there. That's good. So
right on the G.
Brady's probably gonna have to do something. I would suspect, based on the way this end has gone, that he'll remove that stone.
Yeah, and based on this end and based on this game, he probably would. But would you think about the draw you talked about anyway?
Well,
If you don't make it, it puts you in a tight spot here.
Well, if you don't make it, you're gonna get forced.
Yeah.
Obviously they're playing the blank here, going after this one. And yeah, it's a little bit late in the end to try to generate a deuce. With only 2 rocks left. But the only problem you have is that Japan's got 1 rock left too, and there's those 2 guards there. So if you ever roll out, or even if you stick around and they freeze to you, if let's just say they nose hit this, or maybe get a little bit of a roll, and all of a sudden Japan can come down and freeze to it under a little bit of cover of that yellow guard, you're getting forced. And I think Brady wants to blank this end. If I were calling this game, I probably would have ignored the yellow when it was all the way out in the 12 foot by the center line and came around the red
Yeah.
guard then. Um, but they've got a way they like to play. They've got a game plan for their opponent. And, there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. Ooh,
So
unusual flash there. So Japan will probably come around that red guard and force Brady to draw to the 4 foot. It is amazing how fortunes can change though in just one little missed shot. These guys are everyone here, they're just so good. You just can't.
yeah.
I mean, I can tell you the games that we played. You miss one shot and then you're giving up a bunch. Actually happened to these two guys you're watching.
Yeah, we saw the tail end of that game yesterday with
With Abe.
you guys and Abe after the Todd Birr game.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. Were you guys around for the draw against 3 where they stole? That was ugly. One thing about this Abe team is they're very patient and calculating. The first 4 ends we played, they had opportunities to get more than 2 with the hammer, but they would rather take out a rock that we could have maybe split in and got a double on than go for 3. Because they certainly had opportunities to go for more than 2, but they were happy to force us, then get their deuce, then force us, then get their deuce. So you do that a few times, and you're up by 3 in the 7th end. Well, or 8th end, depending on if you have hammer or not.
It is, like you said, that's incredibly patient to do when you see a big end in front of you.
And the way they can hit, though, they have the confidence in their ability to remove opponent's stones that they know they're not going to give a big end.
Yeah, even a lead of 2 or 3 is pretty big for them.
Yeah, they made a quad run back against us. That was pretty awesome. They got the drag effect right and everything. It was a great shot. And they know when to bail, and they bail early and make sure you don't get that big end against them. And next thing you know, there's a bunch of opponent stones sitting in the house, and you got to draw to the 4 foot just to score your 1. So Brady does get forced there. He'll take the lead. Not all bad though. If you're Brady, you're up 2-1, and you have the hammer and the even ends. So a force here for Clark would be big. If he can take the hammer to the 6 tied, he's in pretty good shape. And I wonder if he'll come in here. Considering he really wants to force, I didn't see the shot call here. I think this is probably the time for the guard. Yeah, sure enough, that's what it looks like. You can't allow Japan to play a clean end and retain the hammer to the 6th here. Real important, especially in this game with the hitting ability of both these teams. And Japan's going to come around here. So they're looking for either 2 or a blank end. Pardon me. And a little tick there. And I apologize if you can't hear me. There's some weird message I'm getting on the screen here, but hopefully you still can. Or maybe hopefully you still can't. Or maybe it's on mute already. Who knows? If they can finish this one, that looks pretty good. Right behind that guard. And I think you'll see Japan probably corner freeze to this so they can try to remove it later on. It looks to be the call. Try to get you score updates here in a couple minutes. Kelly Stevens is out there running scores and volunteering along with Karen Tate. To her and all the other volunteers out here, there's probably about 40 of them. We certainly could not put this on without them. And I'm sure Corey's talked about it, but we are a volunteer-run club. It's not a single person on staff here. So we do the ice ourselves. We 10 bar ourselves. We even built this place ourselves. Wayne Fleming is actually playing over on Sheet A right now. Licensed contractor. He kind of led the charge, but there's a couple touchy drywall spots that have my name all over them. But truly a testament to what a group of people can do if they have a dream. And here we are hosting an incredible event. Over 400 people through the doors yesterday, and it was a work day. So we'll see what happens today. Expecting big crowds. Everyone's probably still home having their morning coffee. The feature teams mostly play at 1:45. We've got Simmons, Schuster, McEwen, and Botcher all on the ice at 1:45 this afternoon. So that'll be a big draw. And then this evening at 8:30, that's all the 1 versus 2 seed matchups. So those could determine. You see a big peel there. Those could determine playoff seeding and whether teams get in or not. So far, it's gone pretty much chalk, which means that most of the favored teams have won thus far. Obviously there's a few teams that are pretty close together, and those games could have gone either way, but no big upsets, I would say. Certainly some lopsided scores, but no big upsets. So after that big peel attempt here, it looks like Clark's sitting 1 and 3 here, and they're probably going to come in and freeze to that red one. Again, all they're trying to do is force here. That looks like a guard. Guard's not bad either. Steal's not bad. Whatever they can do, they just don't want to give up 2. Interesting call here. It looks like they're going to tap the red onto the yellow. But this just gets 1 shot rock, and it could even stick out potentially. It doesn't look like a ton of weight, though. So probably just, what we call an 8, which is back 4 foot. Shots on the way. Looks pretty good. It's going to be a little narrow. Wreck on the guard. Open things up a little bit. But not a terrible shot. It's going to make Brady throw up another one instead of doing something offensive like trying to hit that yellow out of there, which he could do pretty easily, but he'd leave himself wide open. So another guard on the way. Well, let's see if I can find out whether my audio is working or not. That sounds like a good idea. And probably a little tighter than he wanted. The double taps there. Um, that's probably leading to a force though.
So, So we're back with you here in the fifth end, just getting near the resolution of this end here. So it looks like the first rock for Shinya Abe, sitting 1 in the rings. Of course, he has the hammer here in this fifth end, down 1. So probably looking just to draw around that red cover, split the rings here. And we'll get scores from the other sheets here for you in just a moment. We have those being uploaded now to Curling Zone, and we will share them with you when we have them. So a nice draw there. It doesn't get all the way behind cover, but you can see pretty flat. The house is split at the top of the 4. So Clark picks the most open one to hit. Try to probably hit that and draw and roll behind the yellow one and be the shot rock. See if he can't get away with forcing just 1 here. Nose hit could lead to 2 for the Japanese guys. And then you see it starts to get the roll, but doesn't quite get all the way over. So pretty open hit for 2 here for Shinya Abe. And scores from around the sheet as he goes down to throw that stone. You see the update on sheet A. Todd Birr now with a 4-1 advantage over the local team led by Huntress. That's after 3 ends. Our latest score. Richard Muntain is open to 4-1 advantage over Daryl Sobering on B. Here on sheet C, this shot is for a 3-2 lead, as we discussed, and on sheet D it looks like Brewer leads Gallagher 2-1 after 3. So 2 Coyotes teams in action, both down now, but it looks like Greg has the hammer over on sheet D and looking to make something happen there. And a good hit for 2, so the lead will go back to Shinya Abe, or will go there for the first time today. So after 5, a 3-2 advantage over Brady Clark. So back to the center guard there for Abe to start the end, and you see a really nice come around by Phil Tilker, the Clark lead, to draw to the button and bury it. So like we saw before, Clark not wasting time with that corner guard, happy to just come around and start the action here in the 4-foot. And Sato follows him right down. So early action here in this sixth end. So you see action stays in the center of the rings there as Brady Clark came around with his red rock, and Sato will remove that one. So we have two yellows on the forefoot, and still that red rock hanging out on the button behind everything with the center guard still up there. So Clark calling a freeze here for Huffman, looks like. Just going to keep piling them up.
It's gonna become a draw game. I really wish they shifted like this.
So a
Like
very
watching it at the at work.
it's a very nice freeze made there as called onto the top of that pile on the button. So all right in a line, and you see Abe going out thinking about that run back here, I think.
Are you sure you're saying other names right?
So it doesn't look like they'll hit the guard on this one with Yuki's second shot. Another draw around.
I'm supposed to get back in there about 9:30. My security duties are important to them.
So it doesn't get all the way over and kind of gets in the way of that straight yellow run back. Going to make it a little tougher. Maybe to start moving everything on the button there. I think he wanted it all the way in, but may be able to hit that guard. And you see Brady Clark might take care of it for him. Going to hit it out. Well, guy's coming down to talk. Not sure here how to play this one. So it looks like Clark's talking about moving that most recently thrown stone, maybe to open up a run back for himself, but I think he may open up a run back for Matsumura's first stone as well. And a lot of out-turn draws to the middle in this end. I think that might be, I don't know if they're talking about that, but it looks like it wouldn't be a bad idea to come down to the red shot rock right now and kind of get on the side of that line. So they look to be settling on the draw. Not sure how happy they are about it, but brush goes down for the ice call, and they are going to try to just bring it in.
Look how pretty that line looks of stones. It's coming in heavy.
So a little heavy on that draw. We'll go to the back of the 4 foot. Gets all the way over to the center line though on that one, but maybe a catcher now for that red shot rock though. If later in the end we do see the run back opportunity, could save a red stone given the way things are lining up. And now Team Abe faced with a similar conundrum facing that line of stones. So it looks like they're going to try the other side of the sheet with a draw. I think they want to be a little higher than Clark did, and certainly higher than that last rock from Brady's team finished. And you see there, brush moves to what's going to be a tight guard.
Who's got hammer, Clark? Perfectly good.
So you see Clark trying that draw again and gets a Interesting result. Gets it down to the 4 foot and in a position to maybe hit some of those yellow rocks and move them around. Looking for a way to manufacture more than one here. I think Shinya probably happy to have the rocks resting the way they are with his yellows locked in there.
They're gonna use it for something. You're gonna see stuff.
So it looks like he's going to hit that red rock that was just thrown. Try to get some stuff moving around. He thinks he has an angle maybe on the red shot rock. And he does. A great run, great shot there from Matsumura to take out the red shot rock and not disturb anything going on with the yellow rocks. We've been talking about his hitting ability throughout this draw, and happy to see that on display there. So. I don't.
See, this is where you need. See, what's wrong with Charles Barkley?
So now it looks like time to get some of those yellow rocks out front moving. Now a lot of guards in the mix here, so start to peel a couple of those out. So first shot from Brady Clark here. Looking to get some yellow moving again, open things up for his last rock at this sixth end. And you see a nice shot there to start things moving and uncover that yellow rock. So still yellow sitting one, but now with some space to operate and two red ones around the 8 foot. So just a guard there from Shinya Abe on his last stone. Cover up, just hitting that yellow one out. So going to have to get creative on getting to that rock now. So left only here with this angle raise from about a zone 2 on the red rock. Let's see how this goes for him. And unable to get all the way out there. Will be a steal of 1 for Team Abe in that 6th end. So with a 2-rock lead and without the hammer, you see Abe calls the first rock to the top of the button. So a nice throw right on the center line. And needed to get some points. You see Brady Clark goes out and calls for a corner guard. And so you see the guard goes up just next to the logo for the U.S. Mixed National Championships, which will be here at the Curling Club in April. And you see Abe quickly calling the center guard to cover up his shot rock on the top of the button there. So a nice guard there, and you see Brady's going to bring action to the 4-foot now. Looking to just tap that yellow stone that sits there, called about a backline weight draw. and opens up the shot on the button there. It does move it back just a touch and gets the red rock on the top of the 4 foot undercover. So a nice outcome there on that shot. And you see Shinya calling a draw around to the red stone that was just thrown. So maybe just calling another center there. Didn't get the draw all the way in, but a nice center guard there for yellow. And you see Clark trying to come into the 4 foot again. And I think disrupt that shot rock or get down to it. And nice work on the brush there to get that rock past that center guard just thrown. And we'll move the Japanese rock to the back of the 4 foot just off the button now, and red sitting 2 with cover and with backing. So Abe, they're looking to just kind of open it up a little bit. Having Hayashi throw that peel shot, gets a guard out of the way, loses the shooter, and opens up some access here. See Clark trying to put back what he's lost there, cover up what he's working on there on the 4 foot circle. And so a nice shot there from Greg Persinger, and you see another run back attempt from the Japanese team. Is going to get that stone that was just thrown off, replace the high center guard, and return us to red just sitting 2 there on the 4 foot. One rock on the button, now opened up. We get another red one on top of guarding up what's on the 4 foot there, and we have another run back attempt here from the Japanese team. They do get to the rock on the button and jam it on the back yellow. Will leave a yellow stone sitting one, but alone in a sea of red there in the middle of the house. Red one's nicely lined up behind cover, and that yellow shot stone is pretty open. So we'll see how Brady chooses to handle this. And his guys are going to come down and talk it over with him. So settling on hitting the yellow shot rock here. Should leave 4 red stones in the house with skip rocks to throw. Even Team Clark in a pretty good position. So you see there, red gets the hit and does sit 4, and Shinya Abe away with his first one, trying to get some of that red granite moving. I think open up this end a little bit for him, and does get them all going a little bit. Actually removes 2 and moves the other 2 to the back of the house. So a nice hit there for Team Abe. Pretty good draw there from Brady Clark just to get another rock into the rings, top of the 8 foot. He may have wanted a little bit deeper just to cut off this draw for the freeze that you see Abe has called. So Shinya coming down, going to try to just draw in and lock on that red shot rock on the back of the 4 foot. Try to either steal this end or maybe hold Brady to a low score there. Using this side of the sheet is an interesting and probably good choice. If he doesn't get all the way in, we'll have backing with that red stone just ahead of the tee in the Coyotes Curling Club logo on the rings there. So opportunity to keep that shooter around, make it a tougher hit for Clark if he does not get all the way into the button here. So carving a little bit to try to get it in, and you see there doesn't get all the way in, but like we mentioned, because of that red rock out there ahead of the tee, it makes it a really tough hit coming that way.
Abe just put that one there, right?
Yeah.
A good shot right behind the guard. Jam possibility there, that one in the back. Probably the same thing.
So the last rock here in the 7th end. The red rock at the top of in the top 8 foot looks like it's accessible. Looks like you may be trying to hit that.
Trying to run that into the yellow.
Run it into the yellow one. That's the way to get the yellow out without a jam.
And that's at least 3. If he sticks around, this is a big shot here.
And a good sweep to get it by.
Oh,
but we'll just miss the yellow one and actually leaves 1 there for Team Abe.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Sure, I heard that live feed just a touch behind what's going on out at the ice, but I think they just saw that shot at the bar.
Well, it's funny, you get a couple reactions. You hear the people that are watching it on the bleachers.
Yeah.
And then you can hear the bar about 10 seconds later. So, tough one here for Brady. They're going to play the 8th end here, but with the hitting ability of this Abe team, 5-2. It's one shot. You make that shot, an inch to the left, and we're probably talking about this game being over the other way.
Yeah. So we'll turn around and watch the 8th end. See if Brady can close this gap.
I'm going to let you close this out, buddy. I'm going to go get ready.
So the first rock you saw for Shinya, Abe goes through the house. Don't want to leave anything out there that can be used as a guard. And a quick corner guard from Brady Clark. Looks like he's just going to try to bump that out of the way. Maybe move that rock onto the rings where they can hit it. So excellent weight control there from Sato. Moves it just over up to about the line, but not out. So Respecting the rules of the free guard zone, the rock stays in play, and not a particularly useful rock at this point. So corner guard on the other side. Just a bit heavy, does glide onto the rings there. So we'll sit top 12 ahead of the yellow stone. And I think we'll probably see that one go away pretty quickly. It's just looking for a turn preference here, it looks like, from Sato, and they're going to call that hit. I'm sorry, that rocket was actually thrown by the second Yuki Hayashi, and a good hit there as he gets the red rock out of play and does lose the shooter. So been pretty clean in the early ends and fairly clean game up until the last couple. So I want to get back to that certainly for Japan here. So trying to get one way out on the wing of the sheet, and they will be successful in doing so, but open to be hit. So you see a very quick call here for the Japanese third Matsumura to come out to the wing here and hit that rock. And gets a roll across the rings to the shot on the button. Two yellow stones in the house here in scoring position, but not significant points at this time. Just kind of want to keep the red rocks out of play here if you're Shinya Abe. And you see Brady Clark trying to set something up, going to try to freeze right on top of that yellow rock. Maybe find a way to get a stone in there and keep it around. So just a little light on the freeze, and you see Japanese player in the hack and ready to go to try to hit that red stone. Just wants to get it through without jamming on a yellow rock. Doesn't really care if he hits the yellow rock and loses it, but doesn't want to have the red one sticking around. So a nice peel to remove that stone from play, and that'll leave us with 3 red rocks to throw and 3 red rocks that need to score. And so you see a nicely executed and thrown freeze there. We did get 1 red rock into play. They're going to try to hit that one, though, and just get everything moving, try to get that red rock out, and that will end the game. So you see that red rock does move out, and that's going to end this game with a couple rocks to throw, but unfortunately Brady Clark is out of rocks, and we'll have handshakes on sheet C. A victory in pool play there for Shinya Abe, and that'll close our first draw of the day 2 here at the 2016 Men's Ed Werenich Golden Wrench Classic. We appreciate you getting up with us and joining us for this first draw. We'll be back at 10:15 for some more action. We're going to focus on sheet A next time. We'll show you Charlie Thomas and Pete Fenson as they battle in pool play. Also on the sheet will be Jim Cotter against Craig Brown. William Lyburn will be taking on Daryl Horsman. And Mick Lismore will be playing on sheet D. He'll be taking on Bruce Corday. So we'll see you back then at 10:15. Please join us again. And until then,